What's going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with the Wraparound. We're going to be breaking down the NHL action going down on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. If you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Let me know your NHL picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily NHL best bet, uh, my NHL power play, or any of the plays that I have on the board on Tuesday, make sure that you head to Pickdawgz.com, click the Experts tab at the top of the page. Like I said, we're going to have a lot going on. We're going to have Frozen Frenzy on Tuesday. So we've got some NHL plays on the board. Probably going to have at least an NBA play or maybe something from the World Series. Still have to sort of narrow it down, but there will be hockey on the board for sure. So again, make sure that you jump on board. Remember to use the promo code PICK at checkout. Get 15% off your purchase. We also have our Inner Circle VIP services. Now, they're not for everyone. They are for people that make big bets, people with big bankrolls who are looking to take their betting to the next level and are looking for that one-on-one concierge style service. Now, you can call or text the number in the description of this video below, but please remember, this is our most expensive premium product. So keep that in mind, and if you find that it is for you, it's an awesome product. I can assure you guys you're going to absolutely love it. But we're here to talk about the NHL card on Tuesday. Like I said, Frozen Frenzy. All 32 teams are in action. 16 games starting at 6 Eastern and closing out with the late action on the West Coast. So we've got a full card to break down. Let's not waste any more time. You guys know the drill. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. Our first game takes us to the Scotiabank Arena, where the Toronto Maple Leafs take on the Calgary Flames. And I think that's sort of just back to basics here. I know the Calgary Flames picked up that win over the New York Rangers in their last matchup, but let's not forget, this is still a team that is 2-7-1 to start the year. Goal scoring has been an issue, and you look at their road games. Like I said, it was opening night, where the Edmonton Oilers fell flat and fell short against Calgary. But since then, the Flames have lost their last 4 games on the road and have given up 3 or more goals in all those games, 5 or more goals in 3 of them. And the combined score in those games was a combined score of 19-6. It's just hard for me to get on board with the Calgary Flames in that regard. Toronto hasn't necessarily been the most convincing team out of the gate. They only have 2 wins by 2 or more goals this season, and those 2 wins were obviously also regulation wins as well. Everything else has either been overtime or losses for the Maple Leafs, but I still think Toronto can get it done here. They have owned this matchup against Calgary in recent years, winning each of the last 6 meetings between these 2 teams. I think the Calgary Flames are in some trouble in this one. I think the Maple Leafs get it done and get the victory here. So I'm going to take the Maple Leafs to get the win here in regulation. I'll put a little bit on Maple Leafs puck line as well. Now we're going to the Xfinity Mobile Arena for in-state rivalry matchup, as you've got the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Flyers heftier favorites than I would have expected them to be in this matchup. Maybe it's just the rest spot with, the Pittsburgh Pirates being one of 4 teams to be on a back-to-back coming into Tuesday's card. But I still think I like the Flyers here. Believe it or not, the Flyers have quietly won 4 of their last 5 games at home. Well, I should say they're 4-1 at home this season, but 3 straight wins at home over the Islanders, the Kraken, and the Wild. The defense has still been fairly solid and a lot more solid. And like I said, I should probably give Philly credit for. I mean, the Flyers, I didn't think that they would be able to do very much. Like I said, I think they still have 2 backup caliber goalies in Dan Vladar and Samuel Ersson as their 1-2 punch, but that hasn't stopped the Flyers from picking up some wins as of late. The Penguins, we'll have to see how they do on Monday's matchup, or in Monday's matchup against the St. Louis Blues. But I just don't know how much I love the spot here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think that there's a reason that the Flyers are hefty favorites like this, even at home. So I'm going to roll with the Philadelphia Flyers in this one. It's a lean. It's not my favorite game on the board, but I'll lean towards the Flyers in the money line in this one. Now we're going to the Lenovo Center for this game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Vegas Golden Knights. And, I was giving the Vegas Golden Knights the benefit of the doubt because they are still a very talented team. They've been playing well out of the gate, but, now they've taken back-to-back losses on this road trip. Now, granted, it was a back-to-back spot in Florida and in Tampa Bay, which is one of the tougher, 2-game road trips to make, because the Lightning and Panthers are usually still fairly solid, but for as talented as Vegas is, they were held to 1 goal in those 2 games. And now you got the Carolina Hurricanes, who for me are still one of the better teams in the NHL, have one of the more talented goaltending rooms in the NHL when healthy. I know Peter Kochetkov is still injured. You probably see Frederik Andersen in this game, and I think that the Vegas Golden Knights could struggle once again in this one. I'm leaning towards the Carolina Hurricanes because I still think Carolina's got a lot here. I don't know. Now, the more that I look at it, the more that I watch this Golden Knights team in action, the offense is going to be solid, but you still have to roll with a goaltending tandem of Akira Schmidt and Aiden Hill, who have been able to get it done in the past. But again, I don't know how much I love it going forward long term. So I'm going to lean towards the Hurricanes in the money line in this one. Next, we're going to the Key Bank Center for this game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And, two teams that are almost even in terms of their record this season. But while Buffalo, has quietly won their last 4 home games, I still do have my concerns about the Buffalo Sabres defensively. They came back against the Toronto Maple Leafs on a quick turnaround and, lost in overtime. And, for as much as, we talk about the Buffalo Sabres and the run they've been on at home, the Columbus Blue Jackets have won 3 straight games on the road, have scored 5+ in all of those games against Pittsburgh, Dallas, and Minnesota. I like the way the Blue Jackets are playing right now. I think this is a true to form coin flip. So to get the Blue Jackets at an even money price here, around an even money price, I think is a great spot to be in. So I'm going to lean towards the Blue Jackets in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. Now we're going to the Amerant Bank Arena for this game between the Florida Panthers and the Anaheim Ducks. And another matchup where I think that Anaheim can be competitive. We saw them go toe-to-toe with the Tampa Bay Lightning in the most recent game on this road trip. This is the final game of their 5-game road trip. They have a 4-0 record, or at least I should say a 3-1 record. 4-0 if they were catching the +1/2 in every game, which they weren't against Chicago. But still, 4 games on this road trip have been either 1-goal losses or outright victories. And I think that they can at least compete here as well. I'm still not sold on the Florida Panthers. Sure, they just shut out the Vegas Golden Knights, but prior to that, they'd still lost 5 of their last 6 games. This is a team that's played a couple close ones against Philly and Chicago to start the year at home. Also, just lost to Pittsburgh at home as well. So, like I said, I think I've liked what Anaheim has seen, and what they've showed me this season. Think about the Anaheim Ducks. I've said it before. The Anaheim Ducks last season were one of the teams, or I should say the team, that had the biggest point improvement from the season prior. They improved their record by 21 points. I think this is a team that's going to continue to ascend. I like the Ducks here, at least plus the 1.5. I might sprinkle a little bit on Ducks money line, but I definitely like the puck line with Anaheim here. Next, we're going to the TD Garden for this matchup between the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders. And I went back and forth on this one because I was kind of tempted to take Boston at home because I don't know if I'm just ready to invest in the Islanders as road favorites just yet after they just fell short against the Philadelphia Flyers in a shootout. But I'm also concerned about the Islanders being a very streaky team because so far we've seen 3 straight losses to start the year, followed by 4 straight wins, and now they did take that loss. But Boston, again, another one of 4 teams that are on the second half of a back-to-back here. Don't love the rest spot for them, especially if it's going to be Jeremy Swayman here, who I am leaning towards it being on Monday night. I think that Jonas Korpisalo could be in some trouble in this game. The New York Islanders, a lot of nights are going to have a goaltending edge. Ilya Sorokin, I still think, is one of the best goaltenders in the world. And this is still an Islanders team I think has been trending in the right direction. So I'm going to lean towards the Islanders here. Again, I think there's better options on the board, but I'll lean towards New York here. Now we're going to the Bridgestone Arena for a game between the Nashville Predators and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'm not going to be giving out many totals on the wraparound here, but I do like the under in this game. The 2 meetings last year, both 3-2 victories for the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime. We have seen this Tampa Bay Lightning team, even in recent wins, or at least in a recent win over Vegas, scored just 2 goals in a 2-1 win. They've still scored 2 goals or less in 5 of their last 6 games. They've given up 3 goals or less in all 6 in 7 straight games. So to me, this sets up as a 1st of 3 wins kind of game from Tampa Bay's perspective. Same thing can be said for Nashville, who's scored 2 goals or less in 5 of their last 6 as well. So for me, two low scoring teams. I think this is a 1st of 3 wins kind of game. I'm going to roll with the under between the Predators and the Lightning. Now we're going to the Grand Casino Arena for this matchup between the Minnesota Wild and the Winnipeg Jets. And I know that the Minnesota Wild won't continue to struggle like this forever, but again, until the Minnesota Wild show any of us that they are on their way of getting out of this tailspin that they have been in to start the year, it is very hard to get behind them in any way, shape, or form. They've lost 3 straight, 6 of their last 7, and 7 of their last 9. And the Winnipeg Jets, yeah, they've alternated wins and losses in 4 straight, and they're only two wins in the last week or so have been over the Calgary Flames, which isn't really saying much. But I still think at its core, the Winnipeg Jets are the better team, with especially better goaltending if Connor Hellebuck gets the start here, which I envision he will. And we've also seen the Winnipeg Jets 3-0 on the road to start the year, really sharp defensively in those games. And for a Minnesota team that just has continued to struggle to find the back of the net far more often than not this season, makes it really hard to get on board with them in any way, shape, or form against anyone with a pulse. So I'm going to roll with the Winnipeg Jets in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. Now we're going to the Enterprise Center for this game between the St. Louis Blues and the Detroit Red Wings. And, we just saw this matchup a couple nights ago, and it was the St. Louis Blues who opened up with a 4-0 lead before blowing it and losing 6-4. I don't think that's going to happen here, but I do think that the Detroit Red Wings pick up another victory over St. Louis in this game. St. Louis, for me, just not a team I'm looking to back. I mean, it's a team that's really struggled with consistency, really struggled with consistent defense, and now the St. Louis Blues are going to be on the second half of a back-to-back in this game. The Detroit Red Wings are obviously going to have the rest advantage here. Now, you look at their recent road games, they've only had 3 so far this season. They've dropped back-to-back on the road against Buffalo and the Islanders, giving up 11 goals combined in those 2 games. But I still think that Detroit has enough in the tank here. Maybe this is a fade of St. Louis more than anything else. But I'm going to roll with the Detroit Red Wings here. It's just I can't get there with the St. Louis Blues in any way, shape, or form. Now we're going to this game between the Dallas Stars and the Washington Capitals from the American Airlines Center. And, this is the other game where I like the total in this one. I like the under here as well. Both meetings last season were, 3-1, 3-2. And, we've seen Dallas play 3 straight 3-2 games. Washington, they just gave up 7 goals to Ottawa, but prior to that, they had allowed just more than 2 goals just once since opening night. So you have 2 teams that are playing some solid defense right now. I've said it before with the Washington Capitals. I really like the tandem of Charlie Lindgren and Logan Thompson. I think that the Dallas Stars have some solid goaltending as well with Jake Ottinger. And like I said, 2 teams that I think are just going to be headed for a low scoring kind of game here where 1-3 wins this game. So I'm going to lean towards the under between the Stars and the Capitals. Now we're going to the United Center for this game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Ottawa Senators. And if you told me this early in the season that I would be backing the Chicago Blackhawks as much as I have this year, I might have thought you were crazy. But the Chicago Blackhawks are a team I think are going to be riding a fair bit this season. Now, the goal scoring has been spotty. This is a team that has scored 3 goals or less in all but one of their games this season. But the fact that they're still 4-3-2 this year tells me that the Chicago Blackhawks are finding ways to keep games close and lower scoring. The defense has been showing up. For as much as the Blackhawks have struggled to score, they've given up 3 goals or less in all but one of their games this season as well. Ottawa coming into this game on the back-to-back. I think that Chicago obviously has the rest advantage here, but I think that this is a great price and a great spot for the Chicago Blackhawks, especially being at home. So I'm going to roll with the Chicago Blackhawks on the money line in this one. It's a great price. Now we're going to the Ball Arena for this game between the Colorado Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. And in the past, you just tell me, hey, the Colorado Avalanche are at home. I'd be like, cool, let's go. Colorado at home, money. They're 2-0-2 so far at home this season. However, the Colorado Avalanche have also lost 4 straight games, including a 4-3 overtime loss to these same Devils just a couple of nights ago in New Jersey. And while it can be hard at times to beat the same team twice in as many nights, I think the New Jersey Devils could get it done here. They've won 8 straight games. And I'm starting to wonder if it's just the exhaustion for Scott Wedgwood. Wedgwood, for the most part, has been a perennial backup over the course of his career. And, Trent Miner, I just don't know if he's NHL ready. I think he's just sort of been forced into this position based out of necessity for the Colorado Avalanche. We're still missing Mackenzie Blackwood. And, whether or not, Blackwood suits up sooner rather than later, whether he suits up, as soon as this game, I don't even know. I'm still trying to get information on it, but because I'm still seeing that he's not on the recent road trip. But again, that was last week. But either way, I still think that the Avalanche are just, until Mackenzie Blackwood comes back and you can get more regular rest for a guy like Scott Wedgwood, there may be spots where this Avalanche team could struggle, even though I do think that they are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. They're up against it right now, against a Devils team that is just playing some really, really good hockey and just keeps on defying the odds, with Jake Allen in goal, who's kind of in the same situation with Jacob Markstrom on the shelf right now for the Devils as well. But New Jersey, again, we're getting a great price with them, with the hotter team. And like I said, I just think that this is a solid price. So give me the Devils and a lean on the money line. Now we're going to Rogers Place for this game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Mammoth. And, just like the Blackhawks have been one of my teams this season, I think the Utah Mammoth are starting to be one of my teams as well. 8-2 to start the year. They've been on absolute fire. Now, Edmonton won all 3 games against Utah last year by a combined score of 15-5. But again, I said it before, and if you've heard it from me time and time again, I apologize for sounding like a broken record. But I'm not paying this name brand price with the Edmonton Oilers just because they're your defending Western Conference champions, and the fact they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Sure, Edmonton has played 7 of their last 8 games on the road, and now they finally get a bit of an abbreviated homestand, a 3-game homestand here, but Utah has had no problems on this road trip. Now, they're kind of in the same boat. After this game, they go back home to play Tampa for 1 game before a bit of an East Coast swing. But this is a Utah team that has now won 3 straight on the road. On the road this season, they're 4-2. They've been just playing some really great hockey, really good defensive hockey as well. They've given up 3 goals or less in all but 1 of their games this season. And I think that the Mammoth, once again, catching a great price here. So I'm going to take Utah on this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. Now we're going to Rogers Arena for this game between the Vancouver Canucks and the New York Rangers. And, the New York Rangers, I gave them the benefit of the doubt against the Calgary Flames, and they came back to bite me in the ass, and I'm just not doing it again. Yes, they're 3-1-1 on the road this season, but they've lost 3 straight. They've been outscored 14-7 during this 3-game losing streak, and quietly, the Rangers have lost 6 of their last 7 games. It's not someone I'm looking to buy. Now, the Vancouver Canucks, they lost 3 straight, but 2 of those games, it's worth noting, were on the road. They did come back home. They were competitive against Montreal, and then they ended up beating Edmonton in overtime. I just think we're getting a really solid price here with the Vancouver Canucks at home. The New York Rangers, I think that this price is kind of, people assuming, hey, the Rangers are due. They're not a bad team, and they're not a bad team. They're a better team than what they have shown so far this season, but until they show it, it's hard for me to get behind them. I understand that, Igor Shesterkin is going to give the Rangers a shot to win anytime he takes the crease, but like I said, the New York Rangers just look like they don't have it right now. So I'm going to go with the Vancouver Canucks in this one, and I'm going to take them on the money line. Now we're going to Climate Pledge Arena for this game between the Seattle Kraken and the Montreal Canadiens. And I went back and forth in this one because Montreal's been a really strong team out of the gate. They're 4-2 on the road so far this season. But Seattle's 3-0 at home, and Seattle coming off a really good win at home over Edmonton. Prior to that, they finished their road trip with a 3-0 win over Winnipeg. And I think that Seattle can get the job done on home ice. They've been a very tough team to crack at Climate Pledge Arena. Now, Montreal this season have been really solid. Like I said, they've won 7 of their last 9, and the 2 losses have each only come by 1 goal. But I like this price with the Seattle Kraken at home, and I think that they can get the job done here. Like I said, they beat some pretty good teams along the way. Anaheim, Vegas, and Edmonton all at home. I think Montreal could be next on that list here. So I'm going to lean towards the Seattle Kraken it's going to be on the money line in this game. And our final game from Tuesday's card takes us to the SAP Center, where the San Jose Sharks take on the Los Angeles Kings. And the Los Angeles Kings 6-1 on the puck line on the road this season. You got to remember, a lot of those were played in the underdog role. And, it's only been recently where, the last two road games against Chicago and Nashville saw the LA Kings as -1.5 road favorites. They lost to Nashville in a shootout and barely got by the Chicago Blackhawks 3-1 in that game. I think San Jose can compete here. We've seen San Jose pick up a couple of recent wins over the Rangers and the Wild in their recent road trip. They also lost to the New York Islanders by 1 goal and almost had a 1-goal loss to the New Jersey Devils, the red-hot New Jersey Devils that we mentioned earlier, before an empty netter, gave New Jersey the puck line cover. But head-to-head, this has been a competitive matchup. Prior to the 8-1 drubbing that the Kings handed out to San Jose last year, the last 5 meetings had all been either Sharks wins or 1-goal victories for the Los Angeles Kings. I just think this is a value spot with the Sharks. Like I've said before, I think the Kings are a team headed for some serious defensive and goaltending regression in 2025-26. And like I said, I'm just not down to lay this kind of price with them here. I know the Sharks aren't going to win many games, but I think they're also going to be able to battle some teams tough. And I think they battle the Kings tough as they always do. So I'm going to go with the Sharks here. +1.5. I'll put a little bit on Sharks money line to round things out. That's it. That's all the NHL action for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Again, if you like this content, make sure you smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. Let me know your NHL picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily NHL best bet or any of the plays that I have on the card on Tuesday's action, make sure you head to Pickdawgz.com. And remember to use the promo code PICK at checkout and get 15% off your purchase. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon.